Hi everyone, it's Thanksgiving week, but if you're watching this video late, don't stop watching. The whole point is that Thanksgiving should be a way of life, not just a day we celebrate once a year. When we enter into gratitude, our brain takes a neural pathway that if we do this consistently, it can rewire our brain away from the negative, toxic thinking, such as anger, anxiety, being judgmental, being offended, being really worried. Those kinds of thoughts cause stress hormones to be released. Those stress hormones can harm us. Not only that, but they stay in our system for hours and hours and hours afterwards. Research now shows that when we enter into gratitude, dopamine is released. This is a feel-good chemical, much better for us. Now, to enter into gratitude, I don't mean just mindlessly listing your blessings, but really concentrating on how grateful you are about something. It could be something small. For instance, I'm really grateful that we have a neighbor that takes our garbage cans up from the street when we're not around, brings them up to our house. So they're not down there, if the wind is blowing, they're not blowing around down the street. It's just a very kind gesture. I'm really grateful that we live in an area where it's common for people to do kind, neighborly things. That blesses me. So that's just an example, entering into gratitude. And it can be something big as well. But really concentrating on that causes your brain to take that neural pathway. And doing that consistently is important. That's why I'm saying Thanksgiving isn't just one day a year. Many people keep gratitude journals. And that's a great way to do it. You can just write down one thing, but then the next day you read your list. And obviously as time goes on, your list is getting longer and longer. And instead of just reading it, really concentrating, get that feeling of gratitude for those things that you've concentrated on. This is something that not only will be good for your brain, but also Thanksgiving is a form of spiritual warfare. In my last blog, I wrote about Paul and Silas in Acts chapter 16. They were out telling everyone about Jesus, and what happened? They got taken, beaten, whipped, and thrown in jail. Now, in the last blog, I talked about them being so tied to their purpose that they couldn't help but do that. They even did this with the jailer, who should have been their enemy. They talked to him about Jesus, ended up totally changing he and his family's life. But another thing I want to mention today is that they had a very unusual response. It says in the Bible that about midnight, Paul and Silas were found praying and singing praise songs to God. Now this is in the worst of circumstances. They weren't in some comfy jail cell at all. They were more in the dungeon part of the jail. And they chose to be thankful. They chose to do this. And we can do the same. Now I know that some of you are going through tough times. I know some of you have some big challenges in your life. And some of you today are really hurting. And I just want to tell you I'm really sorry. And so is God. He sees you. He's not far away with his back turned. He sees you. He knows what you're going through. And he wants to change your circumstances. So don't give up. Even in those tough circumstances, you can find something to be grateful for, even if it's something small. What happened when Paul and Silas did this? A miracle happened. There was an earthquake that caused all the prison doors to spring open. The same can happen with us. When we praise, when we least feel like it, it changes the spiritual atmosphere. Again, not always easy, but start with gratitude, especially when you feel stressed, when you are realizing that you're starting to feel angry or offended or worried. Stop and say, no. Go in the other room, just take a minute to rewire that brain, have your brain take a different neural pathway and concentrate on gratitude. Slow your breathing down. That Thanksgiving and gratitude can lead to praising God. And that can change your spiritual atmosphere. Open the Bible today. There's so many promises in there. But just know that God loves you, he sees you, and he has a plan for you going forward. And I just encourage you to be grateful today.